Welcome to In Your Prime. I'm Jana Collier, publisher of the Dayton Daily News, the Springfield News-Sun, and the Journal News. We have a wonderful program for you today filled with fascinating information to inspire and encourage you. We've invited 4 local experts who are leaders in their fields. Megan Ulrich from the Knolls of Oxford will help us explore what living in a senior community means today. Dr. Keren Ray from Kettering Health will talk to us about one of the top causes of foot pain and how to treat and prevent it. Dr. David de la Pena will offer advice on how to keep our bones and joints healthy. And Dr. Brian Stahl, a renowned cataract and refractive surgeon and the owner of Stahl Vision, will answer our questions about cataracts. The Southwest Ohio region is the perfect place to live at any age, but especially for us in the prime of our lives. We hope this session with our local experts will inspire and empower you. So let's get started. Our first guest is Megan Ulrich, the Vice President of Marketing and Business Development for Maple Knoll Communities, an organization that touches the lives of 35,000 senior citizens worldwide. Here in our region, the Knolls of Oxford traces its roots back more than 170 years. Today, it's an innovative and caring provider of senior communities and services. Megan is going to help us understand when it's time for us to join a retirement community and how we can find the right place for ourselves or our loved ones. Megan, thank you so much for joining us today on In Your Prime.
Thank you so much for having me today.
So a lot of times when people think about moving into a retirement community, they're thinking about the style of the home or the floor plan, but there's so much more to a retirement community than that. Walk us through some of the key elements of a retirement community.
So a lot of times when people think about moving to retirement community, they think about the things they might have to give up in life. In our experience, people move to retirement community and they find a whole new set of adventures that they didn't have in life. So there's so much more than your actual living accommodation, your home. Obviously, we've got a variety of floor plans that you can choose from. You can live in a 2-bedroom, 1,200 square foot home. You can live up to a 4,000 square foot home, or you can live in an assisted living apartment. But what really makes retirement communities stand out are all the amenities, the services, the activities that occur every day. So you'll have somebody who's basically concierge for you, providing you with anywhere from 5 to 15 activities a day that you can participate in. There are meal plans included. There's transportation to doctor's appointments, activities in the community, to recreational and educational opportunities. You have weekly housekeeping. You have lawn care service. So it really frees up a lot of time for you to enjoy the things maybe that you didn't get a chance to enjoy throughout your life. And then, of course, as your needs progress, we also have healthcare services that are available to you. So if you need a little extra help with maybe medication management or someone checking in on you throughout the day or reminders for things, all of that is available on a retirement community campus.
So another stereotype that people may have about retirement communities is that they're just for old people. But what I hear you describing is this very dynamic environment. Tell us what it's really like to live in a retirement community.
So one of the favorite things that one of our residents said to me a few years ago was that our campuses are where people come to live longer. So we've got people who are more active than I ever could be. Trying to get on some of their calendars and agendas to even volunteer for something is nearly impossible. So people move in. Our youngest is 62. Our oldest is 107, still in independent living. And really, they can be as active as they want to. So we kind of think as age is just a number. It's really how you feel. So it is not your stereotypical retirement community. We have people out riding bicycles, walking, going to Miami University for educational, recreational, different events. They might go and swim every day at the rec center. There's just so much going on that it's really an active aging community, not an older adult community.
It sounds like, a retirement community provides a lot of conveniences to people and gives them a certain kind of lifestyle that they want to live. But are there other kinds of deeper benefits to people?
Yes, we always have two different groups of people who look for retirement communities. Ones that want to move in for the social aspect and they don't want to have to worry about everything that they did at their home, taking care of the yard, taking care of the house, all of that. And then we have others who maybe have noticed a change in behavior of either themselves or a loved one. Maybe you're becoming more forgetful. It's harder for you to get up the stairs. It's harder to take care of the house. That's definitely time for you to start thinking about what's the next stage in my life, and can I move somewhere where it's a little bit easier for me and I have those services provided so I really can live life to the fullest, to my potential at the time.
Good. So we're going to take a question from a viewer. How have retirement communities changed and what do you see on the horizon?
So I've been with our organization for 16 years. So I've worked in retirement communities for some time. Even before I started, retirement communities would be what you would kind of see on TV as your stereotypical retirement community. Bingo, they would do bus trips, things like that. It has definitely changed over the years. And I know just for my generation, we want more, we demand more. My parents demand more. So we've really enhanced technology efforts across our campuses. We have a concierge for technology. We call it a Serve Us Center, where we provide tech support for our residents. We'd like to provide activities that include everything from on-campus games to maybe out-of-town overnight trips. So we do a little bit of that. That's something that's definitely changed to kind of gear towards more of the active senior. We also recognize that people, once they're comfortable somewhere, they may want to age in place. So we've come used to providing additional care and services across all levels of care. So if someone's in independent living and their needs are progressing, in years past, they would have to move to the next level of care. Now we're able to bring in some of those services to keep them aging in place where they're most comfortable. We also assist them every step of the way for any needs they have in assisted living and skilled nursing.
Great, thank you. So we're going to take another viewer question. How have retirement communities been impacted by the pandemic?
Unfortunately, retirement communities have been greatly impacted by the pandemic. When this happened in March of 2020, nobody knew how long this was going to last for or what that was going to mean. Across our campuses, we saw activities shut down. And with that happening, we also had some positives. We saw community come forward. We saw neighbors helping neighbors. We had employees volunteering after hours to deliver things to residents' homes. So what we saw was a lot more of people getting care and services in their homes. But even after the pandemic began to die down a little bit, we've seen more and more people who maybe had friends on campuses that are reaching out to say, we know that kind of care and support that was provided to them during such a hard time. We want to be a part of a campus like that. And we've just been getting a tremendous amount of calls and inquiries for living on our campuses now.
Great, thank you. Now, a lot of people who are watching this program may be thinking, I'm not ready for a retirement community. I'm too young or I'm too active. How do we really know when it's time for us to start considering a retirement community?
It's really time to start considering a retirement community if you're getting overwhelmed or stressed with being in that big house that you might be in, or you want to be closer to loved ones. I know in personal experiences with family, if somebody is experiencing where maybe they can't take care of the yard on their own, it's hard for them to clean. And many people say they don't want to be a burden on their loved ones. It's time to start making those decisions when you're able to make the decisions for yourself. We always stress to individuals, make that yourself, make the call, make the choice, and be a part of being proactive about your health and well-being.
Yeah, that really resonates with me. This idea that we want to control these decisions for ourselves and not wait until a family member or someone else has to make these decisions for us. So guide us through the steps that someone would take to start the process of finding the right retirement community.
So when finding a retirement community, there's a few things to always look for. We are a nonprofit organization, so we always recommend nonprofits, even if you don't select one of ours. What that means is we have fundraising efforts that we do throughout the year that support our benevolent care program. That means when a resident's here, they're here for life if they choose to be. So if they would ever deplete their financial resources through no fault of their own, they would never be asked to leave our campuses. We would continue to provide that care and service for them. Kind of like long-term care insurance, but for independent living and assisted living. So that's number one. Do your research, find a community. Find a community that's in maybe a neighborhood or surrounded by loved ones that you may have close by, or maybe it's close to your favorite shopping center, it's close to your church, things that you're already a part of that you're not willing to give up. So once you've done some of that research, from home, then we suggest setting up an initial tour. So you can actually go to our website. You can go to www.theknollsofoxford.org. We've got virtual tours throughout our campus up there for you to view. And you can look at those, and then you can also schedule a personalized tour to come out, see the different services, see the different accommodations that you can choose from, meet with staff, get to know people a little bit better. And we always encourage people, ask a million questions. Don't be afraid to say, let me see sample activity calendars. Let me try a meal in your bistro. Let me go and tour skilled nursing and assisted living. You might be looking at independent living, but someday you may need those services. So really do your homework. Also see what other residents in the campus are like. So if you're walking down the street and you're saying hi to people and they're not saying hi back to you, that's kind of a warning sign. So really find out, who your neighbors are going to be and kind of get to know them a little bit better and get to know the campus. Once you've done those initial tours, say that you decide that particular community is for you, such as the Knolls of Oxford, you would tell the director of marketing that, hey, I know I want to be here. And then they can work with you to find the perfect accommodation for your needs. And they would help you fill out the application. And it's a pretty easy process from there on out. We even have, if you need it, mover recommendations, downsizing recommendation companies, whatever you need, we've got resources and partners that we can provide you with.
So what kind of trends are you seeing in assisted living facilities?
So in assisted living facilities and independent living and skilled nursing, across the board, we're seeing that people want the guests to be put first. They want to be able to make their own selections. They want multiple dining options, multiple activity options. They want, particularly for independent living, they still wanted the option to host family and friends. So they want larger accommodations with storage space, open floor plans. They want technology at the drop of a hat. So there's so many things that you think about that you want at your own home, and this is your next home. So you want those things carried over. So that's what retirement communities, including the Knolls of Oxford, really try to aim for today.
That's great. Thank you. Megan, thank you so much for joining us on In Your Prime and helping to empower us to make these kinds of decisions around retirement communities. I know our viewers have learned so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
This program is sponsored in part by Kettering Health.
Being a good listener makes for better primary care. At Catering Health, our providers take the time to get to know you and your unique needs. Our best in primary care, powering you to be your best. Catering Health.
Our sponsors make this program and In Your Prime possible. Thank you to Kettering Health, Stahl Vision, and the Knolls of Oxford. Our next guest is Dr. Brian Stahl, a board-certified ophthalmologist and surgeon specializing in cataract and LASIK surgery. He's been practicing in Dayton as the owner of Stahl Vision for more than 25 years. Dr. Stahl is one of the area's most experienced cataract surgeons, and his proprietary formulas have helped countless patients see the world the way they were meant to see. Today, we're talking to Dr. Stahl about how cataract surgery can transform our vision. Thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Stahl, and welcome to In Your Prime.
Thank you, Jana. We're very glad to be here today.
So I know you have a passion for helping people see better. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got interested in eye health.
My dad was an eye doctor too. So like a lot of young boys, I decided I wanted to do what my dad did. But, as I started going through the schooling and all the training things, I found out it was really kind of a fun thing to do. So eventually I ended up going back to school and becoming a surgeon. And I have a great job. I give people their vision back. So I try and impart that to my staff and to the patients that we care for. What a fun job I have. I give people their vision back.
That's wonderful. Now, cataracts are obviously very common in older adults. Explain for us exactly what cataracts are and just help put this issue into perspective for our viewers.
Yeah, Jen, it's a really good question. If we all live long enough, we're all going to get cataracts. Eventually, as we age, the lens turns a little yellow, it gets denser, it starts turning a little cloudy. And eventually that cloudiness gets to the point where it starts interfering with our lifestyle. Maybe you notice where it's hard to turn left into a parking lot, or those bright blue headlights are causing you problems, or you're just not seeing colors very well. Or some people go through 2 or 3 different pair of eyeglasses, 2 or 3 different eye doctors, only to find out it's not the glasses. Your lens is getting cloudy. And until that's removed, you're just not seeing very well. So we all eventually come to needing cataract surgery.
So people often feel very nervous about any surgery, really, but especially on their eyes. So I think it would be helpful to describe the experience of having cataract surgery. So do people have to go to the hospital to have the surgery, and how long does it take?
We have our own outpatient surgery center in our building here, so you don't have to go to hospital. And this is an especially good time not to have to go to hospital. So it's an outpatient surgery. You're going to be there an hour and a half. You're actually only in the room about 15 minutes of that. So it's a fairly straightforward procedure to have done.
And are patients awake during that surgery?
Yeah, you're awake for the surgery, but we lightly sedate you so that you're breathing on your own and you can still talk to us. Certainly is a very comfortable thing. And we have your own anesthesiologist that's just going to be sitting right there beside you so that if you're going through anything, it's not like dentistry where there's a big needle in your eye or anything like that. It's all drip on numbing medicine. So if it's bothering at all, we just drip more numbing medicine on.
And do they have to keep their eye open throughout the entire surgery?
Yeah, we have a metal device called a speculum, keeps your eyes open. You certainly can try and blink a little bit and we'll wet your eye for you. But yeah, you're going to move a little bit. You're certainly breathing. You're going to want to blink, but we've got that all taken care of for you. So it's not too hard to hold still for it. And you don't have to worry about keeping your eyes on.
And I know you and your team really try to help, put patients at ease and make them feel comfortable. Describe what you guys do to help patients feel more comfortable throughout this process.
I got to brag on my staff. I have the best staff you're ever going to meet. They're just super awesome people, super smart, kind-hearted. They're here to take care of people. They're about giving. So, truth that what makes us different than anybody else is the staff member. So the first person you're going to see when you come in, the last person you're going to see when you go out. I have a great staff that just put you at ease.
And what happens after surgery? How long does it take to recover?
We're going to have you take a patch and wear that patch the first couple of hours when you go home and lay down and take a nap. It's amazing how much that nap does to making you feeling better. Take that patch off and get you started on some eye drops. Most people are seeing fairly good. They're able to eat dinner, to go out to dinner, to take care of themselves, do most normal activities fairly quickly. We'll see you the next morning, go over some of the instructions and some of the do's and don'ts. But most people are out walking and playing golf and taking care of themselves and doing things the very next day.
Wow, that's amazing. Another big concern that folks often have is about the cost. So does insurance cover cataract surgery? And if not, are there ways to finance it?
That's a good question. And that's a common question and concern of people. Cataract surgery itself is covered by your medical insurance. Now, you may have a co-insurance or deductible, and you probably already know about that, but it is a covered service. Now, there are some parts that your insurance company might think of as a luxury and add-on. So it used to be that we do cataract surgery mainly just to clear your vision up. But now, over the last 22 years, we have implants, especially bifocal implants and astigmatism-correcting implants, that can maybe help you get out of your glasses or be more lens free. So we have implants that you can see up close to read again. You can see your desktop computer, the food on your plate. You can drive. You can do all these things without your glasses and contacts. There's nothing wrong with your glasses and contacts. It's nice to have some options that you maybe don't have to wear them. And again, although this is a luxury as the insurance company thinks of it, we have great deferred interest finance plans, make it very affordable, make it fit your lifestyle. That if that's something you want to do, we make it available for you.
Great. So let's take a couple of questions from our viewers. So this is a question from a viewer. Can you have cataract surgery on both eyes at the same time?
Yeah, it's a really good question. For safety reasons, we only do one eye at a time, and we wait and see how that one turns out. And then we come back about 3 weeks later and do the other eye. It turns out sometimes we'll make some fine tuning or some adjustments on the second eye where we do things a little different. So from several different reasons, we do the two eyes separate. It turns out just a little better for the patient that way.
Good. That's good information. Another viewer question is, if I have a cataract removed, will it come back?
The cataract never comes back, but over enough time, usually months and years, you get a thin film that grows over your implant. And one time in your life, that thin film needs to be cleaned off. It's very easy and straightforward to do that. You don't have to go back to surgery to do that. You just need it done once in your life. So everybody gets a thin film. But no, the original cataract never comes back. Once is it for good.
Great. Thank you. Well, I know you've helped countless people here in the Miami Valley, but you've also helped people around the world. Tell us a little bit about your mission work and what that means to you.
You got about an hour? No, just kidding. I just got back, Jana, from my 40th mission trip. I'm very blessed to get to do what I do. And we take care of people here in the United States too. And we have a clinic here for helping people that don't have much in the way of money. But when I go overseas, most of these people are blind both eyes. They can't see food on their plate. They haven't seen their grandchildren. They've not seen their own image in the mirror in like 10 years. So we're taking care of people that are literally blind, have no access to medical care, no money to get it if they even did. So when you see those people the next morning, you take the patch off and you take a line of people's patches and they got these big smile on their face and things. So I'm very blessed. I get to take some of my nurses. We have a very dedicated team with this. I've done about 10,000 surgeries outside the United States, 40 different trips, and it's an awesome thing to be able to do. So I'm really blessed to be able to do this, both here in the United States, but take the show on the road and go overseas and do it too.
That's amazing. And thank you for doing that work for so many people. So if someone is ready to take this next step and they're really thinking about cataract surgery, what should they do?
The first step is go in and get a complete eye exam. And, most people are waiting until they're kind of frustrated with it. And it's very interesting. AARP did a study. And what they found was that 85% of people, when they had their cataract surgery, were surprised just how bad their vision was, and they had not realized it. So most of us don't like to complain, don't like to be handicapped by things, and we just put up with things. But when you actually get the surgery, it's amazing how much better sometimes people see.
I know I've learned a lot about my options around cataracts. Is there anything that we haven't discussed that our viewers need to know about?
Oh, yeah, a couple things. One, it's not scary. Everybody's worried that they're going to be scared to have it done, or it's going to be difficult to do, or they're not going to be able to do things. And the reality is you can get back to activities, a day of living, and get back to life and get back to doing things and seeing better. And, this is not your grandmother's cataract surgery. The implants that we have nowadays, the technology we have nowadays is pretty incredible. The ability to see and function even without your glasses after surgery is pretty awesome.
So where can people find out more information about cataract surgery?
Yeah, we have a really good website, and you get lots more information on the website about the different types of implant lenses that are available, about the signs and symptoms of the cataract surgery. We also do online webinars, and we record some of those so you can watch some of the prior question and answer sessions. So you don't have to stop here. If you want to come to our website, which is stahlvision.com, you can find out even more information online.
Thank you so much, Dr. Stahl, for joining us today on In Your Prime. I know our viewers have learned so much about not just improving their vision, but how that can improve their lives. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Jan. It's been a pleasure to be with you tonight.
Please welcome our next guest, Dr. Keren Ray, a Kettering Health doctor who specializes in internal medicine. Dr. Ray focuses on nutrition, chronic disease management, and improving health through a lifestyle. Today, Dr. Ray is going to talk with us about avoiding and treating foot pain, specifically plantar fasciitis. Thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Ray. Welcome to In Your Prime.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start by tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became interested in medicine.
So I've lived in Ohio almost my whole life. And when I was a child, my mom was a nurse and she would come home almost every day from work and tell me how she helped her patients. So that really inspired me to want to go into medicine. Now, in high school, I thought I wanted to be a veterinarian, but when I got into college, I realized that my real passion was going to be working with people, helping them live healthier and live a great life.
What a wonderful story. And we're glad you made the decision that you did and are here to help people today. So, Dr. Ray, what is plantar fasciitis?
On the bottom of our foot, right under our skin, there's a very thick membrane, and that's called the plantar fascia. So if that membrane becomes inflamed or irritated, that causes a lot of pain, and that's what plantar fasciitis is.
Share more with us about this very common issue.
You're right. It is so common to have plantar fasciitis. It's actually one of the most common causes of foot pain in adults. So if you have pain on the bottom of your feet, then there's a very good chance that that pain could be plantar fasciitis. So you're probably wondering, how would you know if it's plantar fasciitis? Well, first, you're going to have that pain in the bottom part of your foot. There are three other things about this pain that you're going to see pretty commonly with plantar fasciitis. One of them is that the pain is right in front of your heel. I'm going to show you on this foot. This is where you're going to see the pain. And when you push down on that spot, then that's where you're going to feel a lot of pain. The other thing that you can see with plantar fasciitis is that your pain is much, much worse when you first get up in the morning, or if you've been sitting for a while and then you get up and start walking, you're going to notice that that is when the pain is pretty severe. Then you'll notice after 5 or 10 minutes of walking around, the pain seems to be getting better. Unfortunately, though, as the day goes on, the pain could get worse again as you've been on your feet all day. And the last thing you might notice with plantar fasciitis is that when you pull back on your foot, like your toes or your ankle, it stretches the bottom of your foot, and that can really cause the pain. That gives you another clue that that's what's causing it.
Wow, well, it definitely sounds like something that we want to avoid. So what actually causes this condition?
That's a really good question. What does cause plantar fasciitis? Well, unfortunately, we really actually don't know for sure. But there are some things that people do, or even something about the structure of their foot that can put them at risk for plantar fasciitis. One of the things that really puts people at risk is if you do a lot of jumping or a lot of running on your feet. The other thing is if you have a certain type of foot. For example, if your arch is really high or if your foot is really flat, you might be more likely to get the plantar fasciitis. So the last thing really that could put you at risk for it is if you don't wear supportive shoes. Wearing supportive shoes is something that can prevent it. And if you don't wear those supportive shoes, you can really notice the effect on the bottom of your foot.
Got it. Well, what are the treatment options if you have this condition?
Luckily, there's a lot of really good simple treatments that you can even do at home by yourself once you know that you have plantar fasciitis. One of the most important things to do when you have it is to stretch your foot. There's so many stretches available for plantar fasciitis, but I'm going to give you 3 stretches that are what I think are the best ones. They're so easy to do, and anybody can do them at home by themselves. So the first one is what you'll want to do is pull your foot back and kind of hold it there for about 20 seconds. As you pull back, you're going to feel the stretch. After 20 seconds, you can let go. You're going to want to repeat that one for about 5 times. And then after you do that one, it's really helpful to massage the bottom of your foot. It's really good to use the pads of your thumbs and go in circular motions and just massage the entire bottom of your foot for about a minute or 2. And finally, it's really good to move your foot around. Your foot and ankle need to move around as much as possible before you get out of bed in the morning or before you get out of a chair. And that also stretches the plantar fascia, makes it less painful when you get up. Some people will even spell out the alphabet with their foot, and that will help them remember and keep in mind how to move their foot around in all the different directions that you want to do it for. If those stretches don't help, you can do other things too, like icing the bottom of your foot. Wearing supportive shoes is actually extremely important, especially once your foot starts to hurt. So if these things don't work for you, it's a good idea to go see your primary care provider, because they can give you some treatment options, like, for example, medications that can help with pain and inflammation and help you move forward with other treatments too.
Great. I mean, that is so helpful. So we're going to take a couple of questions from our viewers. So the first question is, does plantar fasciitis ever go away?
Luckily, plantar fasciitis usually does go away, especially if you keep doing the stretches even after you feel better. It also helps it go away if you wear the right type of shoes and keep wearing them even after your foot feels better. Though, unfortunately, once you've had plantar fasciitis, if you're not careful and use your bottom of your foot too much, you could always get it again. You're a little bit at higher risk for that.
Got it. Well, that really leads into our next viewer question. Does wearing high heels cause plantar fasciitis? And what should you look for in the kind of shoe that you wear?
So unfortunately, high heels are not the most supportive for your feet. Saying that, though, some women can wear them every single day and never have a problem with their feet. If you start feeling pain in the bottom of your foot, you can prevent plantar fasciitis from getting any worse by stretching your foot with the stretches that I talked about earlier, both before you put your shoes on and after you take them off. However, if you do already have plantar fasciitis, you'll probably need to put those high heels way in the back of your closet for a while, because it's more important to wear supportive shoes when you have plantar fasciitis.
Great. So tell us, what does it mean, supportive shoes? What does that mean exactly? Running shoes or something else?
Running shoes are really good shoes to wear. The important thing is to make sure that they're not getting worn out on the bottom. There are a lot of different shoe stores that can help you find shoes with good arch support and shoes that would help the kind of feet that you have. Some people have flat feet and need more arch support than others. So there's different shoe shops that can help you find the right shoes for you. But most importantly, you want to feel comfortable in the shoes and keep an eye on the shoes as you continue to wear them to make sure they're not getting worn down at the bottom, because a supportive shoe can over time not be supportive anymore.
So what else would you like to tell our viewers today as they think about living their best lives as they age?
I just want everyone to know that most of us can continue to live a really great life as we get older. There's so many activities that we all enjoy doing, and it really is possible to keep doing those things as we get older. Some of the things you can do is live a healthy lifestyle, like good nutrition, good amounts of sleep, and staying active. And if you have questions about any of that, you can talk to your primary care provider, and they can help you come up with some of the strategies to live the healthiest life as you get older.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Ray, for joining us on In Your Prime. I really appreciate you sharing this very helpful information with our viewers.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Our next guest is Dr. David de la Peña from Kettering Health. And Dr. de la Peña is an internist who specializes in caring for older adults. Today, he's going to share some advice about managing our aches and pains as we age. Welcome back to In Your Prime. It's so good to see you again.
Thank you for having me back, Jana.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and your approach to how you practice medicine.
Sure. I practice internal medicine on an outpatient basis, and my general philosophy is take care of things as they are a small problem as opposed to a bigger problem. And so, in general, the adage goes that a little bit of prevention goes a long way, and I certainly abide by that.
Great, thank you. So you're going to talk to us today about a very common source of pain as we age, and that's osteoarthritis. How common is this problem?
That is actually quite common a problem. Certainly about every visit, I feel like one of my patients will mention in passing some kind of joint-related pain. And actually, between 2013, 2015, almost 60,000 adults in the United States were estimated to have some kind of arthritis pain. And so you can imagine that, yes, it is something that you're going to see a lot of.
And osteoarthritis is a distinct type of arthritis. So tell us more about that.
Sure. Osteoarthritis, if you can think of it at its core as a response to stresses over time and mechanical stresses. And so whether it is repeated movements, things like that, lots of increased carrying of weight, etc., those things can certainly contribute. Now, there are other subtypes of arthritis that maybe we can get into too, that are caused by more so inflammatory responses against the joints themselves. But so far, the most common being osteoarthritis.
Well, it definitely sounds painful. So what exactly causes it?
So again, going back to things that will increase risk of arthritis, things that will predispose you to developing arthritis would be either, for example, a sports-related injury in which very commonly you can see an old meniscus tear, and that just causes uneven wear on that joint. Also, for those of us who may have put on too many pounds over the years, guilty of that sometimes too, over time that can increase the wear and tear on a joint as well, and predispose you to problems down the road.
So it sounds like this could happen anywhere in the body. Where is it most common?
So think about the places that are responsible for keeping you upright most of the day. So places like the ankles, the knees, the hips, your spinal column, all of those are responsible for supporting everything above it. And so very commonly, you can see arthritis in those places.
So what are the symptoms of osteoarthritis?
Number one, pain. That's everyone, especially this time of year when the weather wants to change. My joints just ache, and it's either going to rain, snow, something in between. I just don't like it. But most commonly, people will experience stiffness when that joint hasn't been used in a while. And so a lot of times you hear, oh, I just need to get it gelled a little bit. And then, once I get it going, it's okay. That is very typical of osteoarthritis.
And is osteoarthritis something that we can prevent?
Certainly. Is it preventable? Probably not. It's something eventually that all of us are going to have to deal with at some point in our lives. There are things, however, that we can do to slow it down. For example, keeping a good posture and not just, now I'm thinking about it, let me sit up straight, not just thinking of what you're doing day to day, but also thinking about balance between muscle groups. If there is any kind of imbalance between flexors and extensors, that is going to affect how that joint moves and where the stress on that joint lands, so to speak.
Gotcha. Now, is this curable, and how do we treat it?
So unfortunately, not curable, but there are many options out there for those who suffer from arthritis. And one of the most common is an over-the-counter analgesic like Tylenol. And actually, one of the better things that you can do for arthritis is to keep moving. To prevent any kind of muscle weakness that comes from disuse of that joint, but two, to maintain your overall cardiovascular health too. And so oftentimes, I will refer patients for physical therapy, and there's a lot of evidence behind using physical therapy as a modality to treat chronic musculoskeletal pain. Aside from those things, yes, non-steroidal anti-inflammatories like your Aleve, like your Advils, certainly can be used. You have to be careful for some of the side effects, though, especially when it comes to things like stomach ulcers and kidney health. So definitely talk to your doctor before considering one of those things.
Great, thank you. So, speaking of more general kinds of joint problems, we're going to take a question from a viewer. And this viewer asks, how can you tell if you're ready for a knee replacement? And how long does it take to recover from that kind of surgery?
Great question. Typically, knee replacements are kind of at the end of the road of things that we've tried. You might have gone through the gamut of trying Tylenol, even going through things like Cymbalta, physical therapy, all sorts of creams, even joint injections. And if after all of that, we can't keep you moving, then ultimately that road ends at joint replacement. And so, it is something that a lot of patients can get relief from. The recovery period varies person to person, of course, but typically, within a period of 2 months, people are around and back to where they're functional again.
What else should our viewers know about pain in their joints?
A lot of times with chronic pain, I see patients who have, along with that, chronic depression-like symptoms too. And so the way that some of our chemicals in our brain work, there is some crossover between, the use of serotonin, not only as a way that we experience our moods, but also how we transmit signals for pain too. So it's very common to see those two things run into each other. The other thing that we start paying more attention to is actually diet as well. Not just for the sake of another doctor talking about weight again, but actually from the foods we eat, we can decrease overall levels of inflammation in our bodies, and that can help modulate the amount of pain that we experience from time to time. So much so, there is something called an anti-inflammatory diet, which at the end of the day ends up being another variation of a Mediterranean style diet, but nevertheless, things that you've heard of before. More servings of legumes, plant-based foods, limited portions of animal-based proteins and things like that. And, if you're going to cook with any fats, make sure that they're, liquid at room temperature, like an olive oil or something, comparable.
Great. That's super interesting and good advice. Thank you. So thank you, Dr. De La Pena, for joining us again on In Your Prime. I really appreciate you sharing this helpful information with our viewers today.
Thanks for having me again today, Jana.
Thank you for watching In Your Prime. A big thank you to our sponsors, Kettering Health, Stahl Vision, and the Knolls of Oxford. Our sponsors make it possible to bring you this important and helpful information from our local experts. Visit our website for more information on these subjects and more to help you make the most of living in your prime.